Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Wednesday. So if it's a Wednesday of the Sports Community live stream, it's the VicHealth doing sport differently. And I am really, really excited to be joined by Spiro Esposito from the Maidstone Tennis Club. Spiro, welcome to Sports Community.
Thanks very much, Steve. Thanks for having me on board.
No, really looking forward to the story of the club. Now we were talking, you're the secretary of the club?
I am indeed. Yes. I got the
so typically it's the secretary that does all the work, the president that gets all the credit. So good to be talking to the engine room of the club. So,
great, thanks.
from introducing a new participation program into the Maidstone Tennis Club, what did your club do, and I guess why did it go down that path?
Well, we're just looking at some activities that could help, to broaden the base of the club, and also the fact that we're in a diverse community setting anyway. Being in the western suburbs is just a melting pot of different different cultures, people from various backgrounds. And we had a good facility that we wanted to take advantage of, so that we could draw people in to actually play sport, play physical activity, just get them off the computers, off the TVs, and just get out and do some sort of a healthy activity. Did you
probably have one or two nationalities kind of being represented in your membership base? Is that how you kind of?
I think it's just general. I mean, we've got our background, our membership background is diverse in any case, so it wasn't very hard to do that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So, what did you as a club decide to do, and how did you do that?
Well, obviously, as I said, we're looking for any sort of activity that could help promote the club and they get people on board. And Tennis Victoria had an initiative that they were going to kick off, or it was kicked off last year, towards the back end of last year, called the Get Your Racket On program. And we thought that would be a good opportunity for our club, to get people in. And that activity, it didn't rely on people having any, predetermined skills at tennis. It didn't matter what level it was, if you've never played before, or if you had played before and you didn't want to get back into it. We thought this was a perfect initiative that Tennis Victoria had implemented. We thought we were happy to come on board with that. And use that to get people to come in and use our facilities. And
lots of clubs don't realise that their peak sporting body, whatever their sport, has got lots of different, I guess what would be called sports products, to not just the traditional competition format of the sport that we've always been used to. And I think, so how did you learn about the Get Your Racket On program? Was it through, did you go, well, we've got a problem, what's there available to help us, or did Tennis Vic and Tennis Australia kind of promote it to you?
Yes, that was the latter, more the latter. I mean, obviously we have our own social night, which we had on a midweek, pick the night, Tuesday night or a Thursday night, depending on what night was available for members or anyone really, or competitions that we may have had. And our participation leader from Tennis Victoria, Jess, I'll just give her a shout out. It's fantastic.
Yeah, of course.
She's fantastic. She's helped us no end, and people from Tennis Victoria generally are very helpful. As I said, they launched this new product or new initiative that, as I mentioned, anyone could play. It didn't matter, and I thought, well, this could dovetail nicely into what our social night was. We could sort of expand it, so we could run it potentially on the same day, so people could come along, play get involved with the Get Your Racket On program. And if they liked what they saw and how they were involved, that might stick around for the rest of the night when the members rock up and just have a social hit. And we sort of thought we could build our social night around that.
Well, fantastic. I mean, you just highlighted another thing that clubs are really surprised about often is they don't realise the amount of sport that their the amount of support their peak body can give them when they're looking to do. It's really to do anything, introduce new programs, facility grants, whatever. it's one of the hidden untapped resources for clubs is peak bodies have got staff there that's their job to help them.
Yeah,
and
you're absolutely correct, Steve. There's no doubt that the resources that, well, in our case, Tennis Victoria,
yeah,
they always say, you know, if you've got any issues or we want support for anything, just contact us, and we're more, you know, they're very willing to help, and I find they do. And you know, with any other help that we might want, like having some sort of an online booking system,
yeah,
that might help us try and make it a bit more seamless in getting people to, you know, book a court or, you know, make some inquiries, you know, for membership or competition or whatever, coaching, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, they've got it all.
Lots of resources available. Absolutely, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, and we come at the angle for volunteers of how do you make it as easy as possible. And one of the key things is how can your peak body help you with whatever it is, programs, what's your challenge, talk to them. Same as council. And they're just staggered at how much support is around if you know who to ask for that help. So
that's correct.
The Get Your Racket On program, which was created by Tennis Australia, lots of research, lots of background in it. So they've done all the work. Just tell us a little bit about what the program was and what were the activities that you got, the people that had never played tennis before, what were they doing and why was it attractive for them to come down?
Well, what they did, they implemented sort of modified tennis activities, if you like.
Yep.
So they would provide all the equipment that was necessary, you know, for the program. So, you know, we didn't have to provide anything except for the courts themselves, pretty much.
Yep.
And they provide all the equipment, you know, modified small, medium rackets based on different sizes, of course, different type balls, and small nets, you know, cones, markers, you know, all sorts of things. Plus, we went through like an induction or training program before the program started, you know, beforehand. So we had some training, we had some, you know, meetings to discuss some of the philosophy behind it. And once we had that training, it was on. But yeah, of course, all throughout that, assistance was, you know, just at a very close at hand, you know, if we needed any help. And basically, but still, we didn't have to follow the strict guidelines of how to implement it. So they say this is the way these games are based. But, you know, there's obviously room there for flexibility based on who comes and, you know, if you need to modify any activity, that was also.
So who did you target? Who did you target? Like, what sort of audience? Was it adults? Was it men, women, or children? Or what time did you run the program?
Yeah, good question. It's actually aimed at adults.
Yeah.
Because the aim is to try and get people, as I said initially, that may have played tennis in the past, but for some reason they dropped it. You know, myriad of reasons. People, you know, they grow up, they go off and do other things, they go to school, they get married, they play other sport, they just can't be bothered, you know, everything. And it was mainly targeted at those people, just want to try and get them back into enjoying tennis again. It didn't matter what their standard is. And that's what these, I'll just give you a little brochure that we've got, that we had.
Yeah, cool.
So as you can see, it's got a theme there, a bit of a fun activity. You know, obviously you don't have to be Roger Federer or Serena Williams, or Ashmade, I should say. So, you know, a bit of a hit and giggle, but there's different standards as well. So if someone was at a more advanced level, that obviously would have an activity for them that would suit them as well.
So how did you
of course, it would dovetail in with our social night after this activity would finish, and then if they wanted to have a more serious hit, then would be able to facilitate that as well.
Yeah, fantastic, and that's important, and we'll cover that off in the principles of what good program design. At the end, how did you recruit these people?
Well, we used any means that we could have, so through social media, I guess. So we've got our Facebook page, we promoted on that. So again, there was some resources available by Tennis Victoria, like the poster I just showed you. There was, you know, online versions of that sort of information. And we just promoted through that, through word of mouth, through through the school. Our courts are located at a school,
Yeah.
primary school. So we push it out that way. So to the teachers, parents, just the local community as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Karina, we've just been comments come through there. Spiro, Karina from officers. So I'm not down the road from Mornington, but not too far. Very interested in this as a fellow. Mornington's where I am, not where your club is.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Very interested in as a fellow tennis club at Officer. Love the concept of get your racket on. So, Karina, thanks for joining us. Any questions that you've got about this that you would like to ask Spiro, just put them into the comments. For anyone else that's watching, welcome to you as well. Put something into the comments, even if it's just to say hello. How long did the program go? So what times? Let's start with the logistics. What time of the day or day did you do it?
We indicated that it was going to run on Thursday nights.
Yes.
From 7 p.m. So effectively you'd have, we think now, it was 1 hour on court, roughly. 1 hour of tennis activity, physical activity, or various activities, not just one. But we'd be rotating around various stations, if you like. And then after that, people would go in and have a bit of socialising in the clubhouse, some nibblies, some food and drink, an opportunity just to socialise together and just have a chin wag, basically, and try and get to know each other. So people didn't know each other. I think that's very important because you get people on their own that might think, geez, I wouldn't mind having a crack at playing tennis, but I don't know anyone, I don't know anyone else that plays tennis. So, it's a bit hard to play by yourself unless you've got a wall or something like that. So, we've got a few people that came down initially and complete strangers, and to us, of course, as well, to each other, but they'd mingle pretty well and have a good, good chat about anything. It doesn't have to be tennis. They talk about anything. Yeah. It's just a matter of getting people together and fostering that sense of friendship.
And so when they're socialising, you've then got the social tennis going on in the background and they're seeing it and we're feeling comfortable meeting the players as they're rolling in and out and that sort of thing as well?
Absolutely. Exactly right. So it's good. It just brings life to the club. We just wanted something to generate some life and activity. If I go back historically to when we first started, it was just myself and John, our treasurer. I remember one day we were just sitting in the clubhouse it was Tuesday night at the time. And we're just sitting, we had the floodlights all turned on. We had to make it look like, there's a tennis club here. And we're just staring out into the courts and there was no one around, you could hear crickets. So thought, what are we doing? Are we wasting our time? Maybe it wasn't such a good idea to take over the activities and try to run a club. But eventually things started to pick up.
Yeah,
and, now it's worthwhile. We've got people, being involved.
Well, I'll ask about the challenges in just a moment. But Karina asked, did a coach or a club member run the tennis activities?
Actually, a club member. So actually it was myself and John, our treasurer, and Billy as well, our president. So volunteers. That when Tennis Victoria set it up, they said yes. It'd be ideally yes, you could have a tennis coach that could do it, but it's a bit of an imposition to have the club coaches being involved because they've got their own programs, and then to get them to stick around to do an additional one was probably a big ask.
Yep.
But as I said, we got the instructions. We got the coaching done by Tennis Victoria. The training, they put us through. We went on court and we ran through all the activities, and they gave us a lot of information, a lot of handbooks and whatnot. So we just conducted them, and as I said, if we sort of forgot, the step by step, you can improvise.
Didn't matter.
And so it didn't matter because people were having fun, and no one knows what the format is, so, and it's all new to everyone.
Well,
so
before I ask about the challenges, I was going to ask, as a volunteer but not a coach, how'd you go? Did you enjoy that side of it, doing that, bringing people in?
It's a little bit daunting, trying to follow all those, trying to remember the instructions, but luckily John was able to help as well, so there was more than one of us. So we would sort of help each other. You've got to do this activity now, and this is how you do it. And as I said, it was a learning curve.
Yeah.
But it was fun. And the people that participate, they don't know exactly. They're just going to follow what you tell them,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you can modify it as you go along.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how
It's
many
too
people
hard.
did you get to come to the sessions, and how long was the series for?
Yeah, well, it was started. We were going to start in February. It did start in February. I'm just having a look at my dates here again. Yeah, 6th of Feb. So it was meant to start. Well, we decided to start it after the Australian Open.
Of course, makes
Take
sense.
advantage of.
Yep.
People get excited. Tennis is on forefront of their mind, so they
Yeah,
hopefully we thought we'd take advantage of that. So that was
absolutely.
good. I think we might have got about 8 people on the first session, which was really good. Because
Yep.
you never know if anyone's going to turn up or not.
Yeah,
But,
agree.
so we got about 7 or 8, I think, from memory, and that was really good.
And so,
And that was about the average, yeah.
So has it grown from that time, or that's just created a nice basis to move forward?
Yes. Well, yeah, created a basis. It was going okay, but of course, in March we had COVID. Yeah, we had to pull the plug on it. Yeah, because we couldn't. Obviously we couldn't do it.
So
we couldn't do any formal activity like that.
So what challenges did you, I guess, encounter? Like when you first made the decision, we've got to, you're gazing out over the floodlit courts and looks beautiful. And from that moment on, what were the challenges that you encountered before you through this program, I guess, if any?
Well, I guess you don't know what you're going to charge.
Yep.
I guess we've got to figure what's a reasonable price point. You have to be mindful of the demographic as well. So, what people can think is a reasonable price to participate. That was a bit of a challenge, but I think in the end we basically threw open the gates to get people on board.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Minimal for that.
Minimal. Yeah, just made it some sort of a voluntary fee if they wanted to pay just a
but the fact that Tennis Australia had done a lot of the work, I guess, and Tennis Victoria in that implementation made it a lot easier for you to take advantage of the work that they'd done.
Correct. That's right. So because we had the equipment already, it was a bit of a no-brainer just to try and the main focus was just to get people on board. To get bums on seats, as they say, and not worry too much about finances.
Yeah, because that'll come later if you can get them staying in the club for sure.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that would be a byproduct. Although it was highlighted, we weren't. The idea is not to sort of spruik membership or anything like that. That would just be a natural progression. If anyone felt that wanted to become a member or look at playing more frequently, that was an option. But we certainly didn't push that side of it. It was completely left it up to the individual whether they wanted to come once or more often. It was up to them. No pressure at all. No pressure to participate. I mean, you could come to the program and not play tennis. That was another option. You could just come and socialise, I guess, with that second part of the program.
Cool. That's really cool. And how did it? How did the people feel coming to the program?
I think they were a bit upbeat. Yeah, very excited. That was we felt the buzz as well. It would lift us up, and we're looking forward to it as well, and participating in the activities. As I said, they're not strictly traditional tennis activities where you're having rallies and playing matches and that. It was sort of little games and activities, but you would still get a workout. That was the thing. You would still be pumping after it. If you're running around, you might be playing on a little mini court with a more soft ball and a smaller racket, but you still have to run and dive across and get the heart pumping. And I guess that was the thing.
Well, and that's another thing that people don't. I mean, it's such a common experience. You're kind of thinking, will they even come? But what you find is the people are going, I think. Thankfully there's something that I can do that I'm comfortable for, that matches me, matches my, and the enjoyment and you called it the buzz it's a common theme all the way through. Create opportunities for people that aren't normally participating, and people respond really positively and really strongly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we just found, I mean, funnily enough, through the COVID, we had a lot more inquiries for people to play tennis, you know, to hire the courts. And I think because of the lack of other alternatives, you know, tennis being an ideal social distancing sport.
Yeah. So just picking up before we wrap up, I'm very conscious of your time, but Karina's just got one last question. What equipment were you able to access through tennis
program? Yeah, well, they provide a whole suite of equipment. So they were, as I said, there were tennis rackets, different sizes, you know, mini rackets, medium, small, tennis balls, different compressions, you know, soft, not so soft, mini nets, plus some little cone things, you know, little markers to mark out a little mini court. They even gave us a boombox, you know, so you could play, you know, pump music through there. So while you're doing these activities, there was music playing and everyone's sort of having fun. And you know, we'd set up a little drink station as well. And people, you know, you play for 10 minutes or whatever, have a break, have a drink, and then you rotate and then do something else. You know, it was quite good. We're really getting into it just before we had to pull the plug.
Oh, that's great. And it's funny, isn't it? They give you a boombox where two words that are synonymous with tennis, particularly in the Australian Open, is quiet, please.
Yeah, that's right.
It's turns everything on its head. And that's the wonderful thing about these programs that are designed to bring people into our clubs. And if we just look at, as we do after every one of the VicHealth Doing Sport Differently sessions, we kind of look at the principles of sports participation and attracting new people to sport that have come out of the research from La Trobe University and VicHealth. And if we kind of, when we're using the programs created by the peak bodies, they've done a lot of work engaging the target and audience and thinking about what they want. But as you said, Spiro, and then they're designing the program that caters for the different skill levels, but also creating that pathway. So you putting the program on before the social tennis, which is a much better idea than putting it on before the competition tennis, because the step from entry level to social is not great and quite obvious. The step from entry level to competition would be daunting and not likely to bring them back. And so creating that social side that brings them back for the social side, which we've realized all the way through this Doing Sport Differently series, is so important. So again, what you've just described to us, and it's such a pity, isn't it, that COVID, for the obvious reasons, but for the timing of your program, that it just came at the wrong time, as you were getting some real strong momentum.
Yeah, that's correct, Steve. Yeah, we found we just getting some of the activities down pat, and we were just modifying them as well to cater for, you know, the different, you know, people that were participating. And you're right, it was looking pretty good there for a while, but anyway, it is what it is, and hopefully we'll be able to kick it off again, you know, very soon. You know,
well, and
we've still got all the equipment. We've still got all the equipment. We're all ready to go.
And you also know now that people want you to do it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly right. Yes, we've had, as I said before, we've had some. Yeah, we've had inquiries even during the pandemic. You know, people wanted to get on and just run around, do some exercise. Yeah. And of course, tennis being, you know, the ultimate social tennis sport. Apart from golf, maybe, but you know, you're at one end of the court to another from the other person. So it's it's a great sport, great exercise.
Well, Spiro, thank you so much for sharing the story of the Maidstone Tennis Club. I look forward to seeing how it goes post-COVID. And Karina, to you, thank you for your questions, because I had most of them, but it's always good to get the questions from the clubs. So, Spiro, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks very much, Steve. Thanks, Karina, for your questions. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
It's great fun listening. Well, I find it fun anyway, listening to the stories of clubs doing just sensational things. So, to everybody, for those that watch the video, the live stream live, thank you so much for being part of it. For those that are watching the video later on and the recording, thank you for taking the time. So until tomorrow, I'm Steve Pallas, and thank you for being part of our sports community.